Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to my YouTube channel, and actually, welcome to my first video. So, you'll have to excuse me because I've never done this before. But I got a lot going on in my life that's changing, and I want to kind of put it out there, and maybe it'll help somebody else if they got any questions about something. So, I'll give you a background about me. I'm 32 years old. I'm married. I have a awesome little boy who's 6. Um, and my wife is a airman first class in the Air Force. She's been in for about 2 years now. And previously, I was a police officer for 11 years. When she joined the Air Force and got her first duty assignment, we had to pack up and leave, so I had to leave my career. So when I got to our first duty station, we're stationed in Charleston right now, Charleston, South Carolina. I really didn't want to start over being a police officer, having to work nights, weekends, holidays, and it takes about 6 months to get hired. Then it would take a couple months for my certifications to transfer over. And then I'd have like 6 months of FTO riding with another officer before I'd get released to be able to do my job. So and then I wouldn't be able to do it for very long, and before we probably got PCS to go somewhere else. So I've been doing electrical work for the last year and a half or so, and finally I kind of decided that I was going to join the Air Force as well. And if I wanted to do or be a police officer, then maybe I could just do security forces in the Air Force, or depending on what jobs I had come available. Excuse me. So I started the process. I started talking to a recruiter. We have lots of friends in the Air Force that have joint spouses that are mill to mill, I guess is what they call it. They've never had problems with their spouses being at a different base than them. Everything seems to have worked out. Everybody I've talked to, the Air Force is really good about keeping you with your family as long as your job coincides with your spouse's job at that base. Meaning, my wife works in cargo, so we have to go to a cargo-driven base. So my job can't be working on, say, fighter jets, because a lot of the places that I've seen that have fighter jets don't really have her job there, or so on and so forth. I have to make sure my job is available at the base where her job is available, if that makes sense. So that's one of the reasons I was looking at security forces or fire protection, or some of these jobs that I know are on every base, and I don't have to worry about getting separated that much from my family. And it looks like my boss just got here, so I'm going to continue this video later. Hey guys, so to continue the video from earlier, kind of what I was saying is I got to make sure my job coincides at a base where my wife's job is. And so I went and spoke to a recruiter, kind of laid everything out to him, told him what was going on. I guess I'm no spring chicken when it comes to joining the military, considering most everybody that decides to join the military starts when they get right out of high school. So they're 17, 18, 19 years old. And here I am, I'm 32. So when I started talking to a recruiter, there's some things that I struggled with that most 18-year-olds don't have to worry about. One is finances, okay? I've been previously married before, got divorced. That caused some financial troubles in my life. I ended up having to file for bankruptcy. And so I had to get a waiver for my credit. I didn't have anything in collections or anything like that, because you definitely can't have anything in collections. But because I filed bankruptcy 7 years ago, and it was on my financial history, I had to have a waiver signed by the commander before I could get the go-ahead to continue the process in the Air Force. So before I could go to MEPS, before I could take the ASVAB or anything like that, I had to type out a letter explaining what had happened in my life, why my finances were the way they were, and what I've done to take care of them, and what I have done and will do to make sure that it never happens again. That way, the Air Force feels comfortable in taking me and hiring me. So that took about 8 weeks, 6 to 8 weeks for it to get signed. So my process was kind of delayed getting in. Once that did get approved, though, it took about 2 weeks for me to go to MEPS. In this video, I wanted to kind of tell you about MEPS. Okay, MEPS is the Military Entrance Processing Station. It's where everybody goes and has their physical abilities tested, your eyes, your ears, the way your joints move, everything, to make sure that you're physically fit to enter the military. It doesn't matter what branch you're in either. So I'll kind of explain what happened to me at MEPS. Also being 32, my body's had more time to break down and have injuries than somebody who's probably 18. So MEPS, when I got to Columbia, for us it was a 2-day thing. It was at Fort Jackson in Columbia, South Carolina. The first day I arrived, I rode a shuttle from Charleston to Columbia. We got there around 3:30 in the afternoon, and I had to take the ASVAB. So that day, I went in and took the ASVAB. I'll probably do a separate video on ASVAB related material. If anybody's interested, just please comment below and let me know, and I'll do a video for that. But the ASVAB took probably, it was about an hour and a half to 2 hours that it took me to take the test. Once I completed that, I got my scores. Everything was good to go. There was several people that failed to meet the standard passing score for the ASVAB, and their process was pretty much terminated at that point. They didn't stay the night like I had to. So I stayed the night at the Marriott in downtown Columbia. They put me up in the Marriott, and there's certain rules you have to follow for that. And then the next day, I woke up at 4 a.m., ate breakfast at 4:30, and we were on the shuttle headed to MEPS by 5 a.m. We got to MEPS, they opened the doors, and we kind of started the whole process. It started out by you filling out a bunch of different sheets of paper, talking about, have you ever wished self-harm upon yourself? Have you ever thought of suicide? It's basically anything to do with medical. It's all medical processing. So they ask you, have you ever been hospitalized? Have you ever been in an emergency room? All these different medical questions, surgeries and everything. But then they start processing you. And for me, the stations I went to, the first station I went to was ears. They checked my ears just for cleanliness. That was it. Some people I saw that I guess they didn't have clean ears, so they had to clean them with like a saline solution or something. But mine was clean, so I got checked off on that. And then I went next door where they did vision. They started vision tests. Well, the depth perception test was probably the most difficult. And I'll explain it. So basically you have A, B, C, D, E, and F in this machine. It's a vision machine you put your eyes in. And each letter has 3 rows with 5 dots in each row. Okay, they look like 5 black dots just lined up. And one of them is slightly raised or different than the rest. Okay, Now, to make it, I don't know about the other branches, but to make it in the Air Force, you have to make it at least past B. So you have to read 6 lines of depth perception tests. So A has 3, A, 1, 2, and 3. B has 3, 1, 2, and 3. You have to make it through all of those and pass every one in order to be accepted into the Air Force. Now, my recruiter told me that the majority of the good jobs that you really want to have access to, you have to make it through D, test D, in depth perception. The only trick that I've heard, and it was true in my case, was when you do the depth perception test, for some reason it never seems to be 1 or 5. I don't know why, but the first dot and the 5th dot, it never seems to be those. So that kind of narrows your search to it either being 2, 3, or 4. I don't know. Maybe it's just a urban legend, but either way, it was not 1 or 5 for my ordeal. Okay, so I did the depth perception test. Then they also, once you pass through that, they do the eye exam. Basically they have like 11 different lines of letters lined up in the machine. As the number goes higher, it progressively gets smaller. I was able to read line 9A, which is 20/20. That was my left eye. My right eye apparently is worse than my left eye. I could only read, I think it was line 7 or 8 in that one, which gave me a 20/30. So the young lady doing my eyes had to see if it could be corrected. So we went to another machine, and it was able to be corrected to 20/30. So my left eye is 20/20, my right eye is 20/30, which was acceptable standards for the military. So I was able to pass that. Then I went to another room, which was the sound test, the hearing test. The hearing test, you go into this soundproof room where you could literally hear your heartbeat. Definitely recommend, they tell you don't chew gum or have anything in your mouth or make any movements with your tongue or anything like that when you're in there, because you will miss these beeps. But you put these headphones on and you have a little clicker, and every time you hear a noise come out of one of the headphones, you click the button as fast as you can. And it usually goes beep, 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 beep. It goes pretty quick. It's like beep, 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 beep. And it like changes tones, I guess, to see what frequencies your ears can hear. Being a police officer did not help me with this at all. My ears have... So like I was saying, being a police officer did not help me in this situation at all. From all the shooting and explosions and things like that, and I was on a tactical team for 9.5 years, my hearing was not the best. Especially my left ear. I barely squeaked by and passed enough frequencies to be able to be admitted into the military. So if you're one of those people who likes to listen to music really loud with your headphones in and things like that, just, think about that. Okay, so finished the hearing. I had done the eyes and everything like that. Then I had to go do your analysis, okay, for the drug test. All right, when I went, and they have you, obviously a male staff members in there with all the men. They physically watch the urine leave your body into the urine cup to make sure nobody's got any bladders or fake anything like that attached to themselves. So, if you can't pass a drug test, then don't even try to go to MEPs. If you're trying to like sneak urine or tape it to your privates or anything like that, it's not worth it. You'll get caught, and it's gonna be really bad. So once the urinalysis was done, I went out and I had to have my blood taken. They check your blood for HIV and probably some other things, but mainly it's for HIV, because if you do have HIV, they won't admit you into the military. So once I got my blood taken, I had to go see a doctor, and it was a one-on-one consult in a room. He has you get down into your underwear, and he pretty much does, for men who's had a sports physical, it's pretty much the same thing. It's just a little, to me, I think it's probably more intrusive than a sports physical. He checks certain movements. He'll look you over from head to toe, and if you have any scars that stand out or anything like that, he'll ask you about them. He'll check motion in your wrists. He'll check your back for scoliosis or make sure your spine's straight. Everything. He listens to your heart. He listens to you breathe. He listens to everything. So, and then he also, at the end of the physical, he'll have you remove your underwear. Men, you will have to have your, he checks you for hernias, turn your head and cough. He checks your penis and your testicles and for lumps and everything. And then they actually make you bend over and spread your cheeks to visually inspect your anus area. So it's pretty intrusive. Just be prepared for that. Okay. All right. Then once that was over with, I had to go back into this classroom area where I initially started filling out all this paperwork. And that's where they did like medical briefing. They talked about sexual harassment and stuff like that, kind of like the they need to cover themselves kind of thing. Then they checked my blood pressure while I was there and my heart rate, and they give you a breathalyzer where you blow into the little intoxilizer test. Then I went into the room for the underwear Olympics, and I know everybody wants to know about the underwear Olympics. Okay, so for us, it's me and 4 other guys. They have you line up in your underwear. You're not wearing socks or anything, and there are certain moves that they have you do. Everybody talks about the duck walk, the famous duck walk. To me, the duck walk really that's not the hard part, okay? Like I said, I'm 32. Squatting down and kind of waddling, yeah, that was a little weird. But I'll show you some of the other things that, to me, was harder. They're more balance intrusive. And knees. You'll have to walk on your knees with your feet off the ground. That, to me, actually hurt more than anything. So let me see if I can't show you some of these moves, or try to. Okay, so first things first, you're gonna have to stand on one leg like this, point your toe out like this, and you're gonna have to squeeze your toes into a ball. Okay, just your toes to make sure that your toes to move. That's one move. They'll also have you rotate just your ankle, not your leg, not like this, just your ankle, going like this. Okay, now this is for both feet. They'll have you stand up and bring your leg like parallel with the deck and kick straight down with your heel turned back like that. So you'll do that several times like this, and it's really hard like that to make sure, I guess, your knee doesn't dislocate or anything. Same thing to the back. You have to do it to the back too. The walking stuff, they'll have you walk on your tippy toes like this, 5 steps out, turn around, go 5 steps back. They'll have you walk on your heels like this, 5 steps out, make small turns, turn around, come 5 steps back. And I don't know how I can show this, but they will actually have you walk on your knees with your legs off the ground like this, just like this. You'll have to go 5 steps out, turn around, come 5 steps back. The arm movements and stuff, it's all rotation. They'll also make you hold your hands out, elbows in like this, and go like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, back and forth on both hands. Lots of, it's just basic rotary movements to make sure make sure everything's functioning properly. I can tell you this, no matter who you're talking to at MEPs, make sure you're respectful. Yes, ma'am, no, ma'am, yes, sir, no, sir. If you don't understand the instructions, politely ask them to repeat them. And what you wear makes a big impression. Imagine it as you're going to an interview for a federal job, because basically that's what you're doing. These people are the people that pretty much set up your entire military career. They're the ones that will say you're qualified for top secret security clearance levels, because based off of how well you do in this physical examination depends on what kind of clearance you can actually get, what kind of jobs open up for you, everything, okay? So take it seriously. I recommend wearing, you don't have to wear a suit or anything like that, but like business casual wear works great. Nice shoes, khakis, or some sort of dressy kind of a pant, no holes, no jeans, a collared shirt, whether it be a button-up or just like a golf shirt, that would work. You don't have to worry about, being comfortable for all these movements, because all the movements you're going to do, you're going to be in your underwear. Make sure you wear appropriate underwear. Oh, one other thing, you can't wear like Under Armour spandex underwear. This is for guys, because you will get your height taken and your weight. There's a chart that shows your age and your height and your weight and stuff. For me, I was 68.75 inches. So basically I'm right there at being 5'9". They round up to 5'9" because, it's not like I'm going to be shorter. So for the height, 5'9", you have to weigh 186, or between 123 pounds and 186. Okay. If you weigh over that 186, then they will do a body fat calculation test on you. That's where they'll measure your stomach and your neck and put all that stuff into a formula and determine how much body fat you have and whether or not it's under what's allowed. So my best advice would be, don't have to go through all that. Look at the chart, figure out how tall you are, and just make sure when you step on that scale that the numbers is under the max. That's the easiest way to do it, because if they do the body fat test, I saw quite a few people fail it. I don't know how it is everywhere, but here, for every % body fat that you were over the allowed amount was 4 weeks that you had to wait to come back to MEPs. So if you were 28% body fat and you had to wait, you had to have 24% body fat, that's 16 weeks that this one person I saw was going to have to wait and reschedule before they come back to MEPs. And that's so much of a hassle. So just make sure you get everything and you're good to go before you get there. Once the duck walk was over and once all that stuff was done, they had me speak with, I guess, a staff member there. You sit there and you wait for some sort of medical staff member to review everything that's in your folder. from all the tests that you went through, and they confirm whether or not you're qualified or not. If you're qualified, then you go downstairs to your branch liaison, and they get you all the paperwork in order for you to get sworn into the delayed entry program. You'll sign your contract for the delayed entry program, and then you'll get sworn in, and that's it. And then you're eligible for jobs, or whatever job it is that you're eligible for based off the ASVAB. So that's why the ASVAB is extremely important. I scored higher in the electrical and mechanical aspects of the ASVAB than anything else. And so a lot of the jobs that they're pushing for me to try and get me to take were mechanical jobs, like maintainers and things like that, and crew chief and stuff, which that's not exactly what I want to do. I don't think I would enjoy it that much. So I'm probably going to hold out for a security forces position, just because I've been in that career field for so long. I'm comfortable there, and I don't have to worry so much about being separated from my spouse as much with that job. Especially maintainers. I don't know how it is at other bases, but maintainers at this base I've seen and heard, they work anywhere from like 12 to 14-hour days. And it's pretty intense. So, I mean, granted, the Air Force, we need people to work on planes. That's the critical mission, is planes. So they're always short-staffed and overworked. So I'd love to hear some feedback from you guys. I want to keep making videos. You know, there's several videos of guys in their 30s who are joining the military or the Air Force, or have already been in the Air Force for a while. So, you know, if there's anything specific you want to know about in my journey so far, or any questions, just comment below, or send me a message, and I'll be glad to help any way I can. And I look forward to hearing from you.